Well, all right, YouTube, welcome back to the Appalachian Outfeed. I've been dragging my feet on making this video for a little while, but we've had big doings going on around here. I thought I'd give you guys an update on the woodpile because I know that's riveting information that everybody wants to know. And we'll get into the big news here shortly. Caught a beautiful day out here. It's been pretty okay lately, but fairly overcast and actually pretty cool last several days. But I think we're knocking on about 50 degrees right now. That's going to change within the next couple of days. We're expecting rain and snow, and within a couple of days. And so that's going to, I need to get the wood pile touched up. I got a good load of wood in yesterday, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But before we do that, I thought I'd just let you guys see the status of the wood pile. I'm told it looks fairly impressive, but when I look at it, it just does not look like the amount of wood that I want. And mind you, most of this is for burning this year. But we'll take a look at that. So I call these racks. These are my cleverly devised system for wood storage. So you got cinder blocks on the bottom, and landscape timbers hold them on top of the cinder blocks. So you got about almost an 8-foot run of wood, and anywhere between, I don't know, 3 and 5 feet tall. So that's off a new load of wood I just got. This is off that poison ivy covered cherry tree. So that's, I don't know if there's some of that cherries over there. So this is new wood. This will be for next burning season. And then this grayer stuff, this stuff that we're going to burn this year. And I expect that we're going to go through all of it. I mean, I don't know, but I think we probably will. I call these 8-foot sections, I call them a rack of wood, for lack of a better term. And I've got about a rack sitting on the back porch. I'll show you guys this real quick. So in terms of trying to keep up with when this stuff goes on the wood pile, I don't know if this camera's picking that up, but I've got some stamps that my granddaddy left me, and I was able to emboss the date that I split and stacked that wood. So that was January of last year. BC is 23. So that was January of 23. I split and stacked this. And I got another one over here, and that was, January of 23 as well. It's only 2 I did that for, but it's kind of cool. A little bit more work than it needs to be. This is off the brand new load of wood I got well, not yesterday. Got that about a month ago. Got it split and stacked a little while ago. And this stuff here just got on the wood pile yesterday. There are some shorties and uglies that are going to go on top. So what I try to do is put the long heavy stuff on the bottom, and then put the short ugly stuff on top. So you might ask, well, why don't you cut it all the same length? Well, you got knots and curves and all kinds of things messing with the plan. So sometimes you get what you get. And there's another stack of shorties over there. This right here is a whole bunch of briars and vines that I cleared out from here. All of this stuff, that whole length right there, was mostly gnarly briars and vines. And this is the last little section. This stuff is so aggravating to deal with because it'll grab you and it doesn't let go, and it hurts. I got to get this stuff out of here and get it on the burn pile. So the plan is, I'm kind of stuck right now because I've got all this wood over there that I'm about to split, and I ain't got anywhere to put it. So I guess I'm going back to Lowe's to get some more cinder blocks and landscape timbers and fill in this little bit. That'll give me about 3 more racks, maybe a little bit more than that. But I've probably got 6, 7, 8 racks of wood to split. So I don't know how this is going to go. I can't burn it fast enough. I can split it faster than I'm going to burn it. So I don't know what I'm going to end up doing, but I'll figure something out. So this right here is, again, some of that God gift wood. This is some locust that's been on the property. This isn't any, I don't think, that I cut last year on the trees that I cut down. These are trees that are already fallen, and just got them cut up into firewood. I save these for really cold nights. Those are my night logs, and when it gets to be really cold weather. I've got a little bit more of that stuff left to cut. There's a log back by the pond. Some of that stuff on that bigger stuff on the bottom came off that log. I gotta get back there and finish it up when the brush dies off. This right here, and I don't know, this may end up being what I make some extra room with. This is that poplar that blew down on the driveway this past spring. And I cut this stuff up and stacked it here for outdoor fire pit wood, and we have really just not touched it very much. I don't know if we need to do more outdoor burning or what I need to do with this stuff. Not too stoked about burning it in the wood stove in the house, but it may come down to that just to get rid of it. I don't know. Weather's not too conducive to being outside right now. Look at these fools. Man, I tell you what, they just run amok out here. Yeah, I can see the Roscoe up the hill there. Lord knows what he's after. He's feeling good today. He hit the ground running this morning. And then Henry over there. Anyway, so now I've got one empty slot. I'm going to take those landscape timber since I'm out and put them back over there, and that'll get me through maybe today. But I'm going to have to make another run to town for some more supplies. This new stuff here, ooh, when did I split that? Yeah, that was a few days ago too, off a load I bought. And this stuff right here, this will be the next stuff we burn, which is why I've got the tar paper on it, keep it from turning into a big firewood sickle. If it rains and freezes, keep it dry in the short term, and get that. So this is pretty tall. It's a pretty good bit of wood right here, and some pretty big chunky pieces. Been burning cherry, and I split that stuff pretty small on purpose, and the wife was giving me grief about it, about splitting it too small, because she wants them to last long and everything, and she's probably right. But this is definitely some bigger stuff. You can see I'm a little over 6 feet tall, and we got, I don't know, 8 inches of cinder block and landscape timber, but that's a 5 foot tall stack of firewood. So that's a fair bit of wood. All right, so that's the update on the wood pile. Again, when you look down the length of it, it looks fairly impressive, I guess. I don't know. But I've got it. I don't feel like this is too much wood. I feel like we're going to burn up everything we've got split for this year. I was telling my wood guy, I'd like to get, I would like it if I could have 1 or 2 of these racks left over every season, and just keep doing that and end up with about 8 or 10 racks of seasoned wood for the next year. And then I could be working on wood 2 years ahead. But that isn't happening quite yet. I don't know. We'll see how this year goes. Maybe I'll have a rack left. I don't know. I don't know. All right, let me take you guys over to the other wood pile, the uncut and unsplit wood pile. and we'll get into what we're really talking about here. Okay, so we're over here by the shop where we've got the wood, stack of wood logs from the other day stacked up and ready to be cut and split. But I thought I'd show you guys the new setup, or as I like to call it, spending my children's inheritance. All joking aside, I can't do what I'm doing without this gear. So last year it was chainsaw, hand maul, and a little, 4 by 6 foot trailer I was pulling behind the lawn tractor, and that got it done. But it was not that it was a lot of work. It was a lot of work. It was just so piecemeal. I could only do a little bit of everything at a time, and it took me forever, particularly the trailer part of it, just back and forth over to the woodpile, hauling split wood over there. And I was beating up the grass, beating up the yard, just, running ruts and stuff. And so I got me a bigger trailer, and it holds about half a rack of wood. Now yesterday, I loaded that thing up to heaping over with green split wood. And long story short, I drove it, had to get it out of the way here, and I drove it over and parked it in the yard for a bit. And when I got back on it and got to going, I was on the slightest little incline there, and the wheels on the lawn tractor started spinning. I'm like, oh Lord. But they finally gripped up, and I got it on down to the wood pile. But I was at the limit of that rig with that little lawn tractor with the weight. So the wagon is going to hold more volume and weight than the tractor's going to pull on wet grass. So that's why I've got to take advantage of days like today where everything's dry outside. Now, where I'm standing right now, it doesn't get sun until late in the afternoon, if at all. And so this is a little bit problematic, but it's good hard ground. So maybe this will work out. But once everything starts icing up and it gets wet, I'm back to, being able to pull, I don't know, half a rack of wood over there or something. I don't know. We'll see. I've got these turf tires on the mower, and, in reality, what I need is a bigger tractor. That's just not in the cards right now, and that's fine. But maybe I end up outfitting one of my lawn tractors with some slightly more aggressive tires, so they can pull. It's a problem in the wintertime because the ground gets wet and it kind of stays wet. And so it's just a problem all the way around. But at the same time, I don't want to tear the yard up. So that's my life. So anyway, so this is what we've got. This wagon is 7 feet long, and I think right at, what is that? Yeah, 3.5 feet wide. When you look at this thing on the website, usually you can see the way it comes. It's just got this angle here for 2 sets, and those are 1x6s, so that's, you're looking at about 10 inches right there. But the volume of wood that I was getting with just having the 2 boards on that wall really wasn't giving me anything more than what my other setup was doing on my other trailer. So I threw those extra walls on there, and sure enough, it'll hold the wood. And like I say, the mower will pull it as long as it's dry. So yeah, got the potential for hauling more wood in this thing. It's got a dump feature on it, and you can buy a hand hydraulic lift, but the dump feature kind of negates what I'm trying to do, which is eliminate bending over and stooping over to pick up firewood. I want to be able to just reach in here and get the firewood and throw it right on the pile. So the dump feature for me at this point, at least in terms of firewood, is really, it doesn't matter to me. That's not helping me at all. The other reason I picked this trailer is the tires on this thing. So those tires are, I don't know, 8 inches wide maybe, and they call them high flotation tires, but those are obviously going to go really easy on the grass and everything, and it'll support that weight. Now this trailer is marketed as being able to hold a ton, which is kind of amazing. And you can tell it steers on the axle here, so it's not a trailer, it's a wagon because it's got 2 axles, as you can see on the back there. So overall, pretty happy with this thing. I wish I had something stronger to pull it with, but I got what I got, and so we're still figuring out this system, but so far so good. I think this was a good purchase, and I can see this being used in the garden for hauling mulch and that kind of stuff. So I think we'll get a lot of use out of this. I need to probably put my other one on Craigslist and get rid of it. And then we come to the big news, or the expensive news, which is this log splitter. So if y'all can forgive me a little rant here, I do not understand the design of big box store log splitters, where you've got the splitting head on the ram of the hydraulic cylinder, and then you've got a foot down here that it just mashes the wood into. So you got the splitter head going into a flat foot. Okay, I get it. Yeah, it's horizontal and vertical. Okay. How many of you guys out there are actually using that vertical splitting feature on any kind of regular basis? That is a backbreaker. I get that you don't have to pick big rounds up, and it lets you get away with that. But it's a nonsensical design, because every time you split a big piece of wood, half of it's going to come off the splitter, and then you got to reach down and pick it back up and keep resplitting it, and it keeps falling on the ground. It doesn't make any sense. And so I was looking for what they call a push through or pass through splitter design. And this was the least expensive one I can find. So the Wagon is made by an outfit up in Ohio, and the splitter comes from an outfit based somewhere near Boston, Massachusetts, if you can believe that. It actually shipped out of Knoxville, Tennessee, which kind of threw me. Was it Knoxville or Memphis? Somewhere in Tennessee. It's a good design, very basic. I mean, look, man, it's a log splitter. You got a hydraulic ram pushing against another piece of steel, and it's splitting logs. It's not that complicated. But the design features on it is what I was going after. So you got the whole push through deal going on. So if you pay attention, so what we've got, kind of hard to see. So over here we've got the flat foot mounted on the ram, which is going to push it over here into our splitter head. And it comes with a removable 4-way splitter, which is nice. You don't have to buy that extra. Over here, you can't see it on the video, but there's a log lift table over here, and you'll see that in action in a second. So there's your solution for picking up heavy rounds. You roll the rounds over onto the log lift. You bump the hydraulic lever, boom, they're up on the table, and you're splitting away. So that works pretty good. And as you split pieces, and you got big chunks on the tray over here, you can work them back to the log lift and keep resplitting them and never have to go back to the ground unless they fall off, which happens, but not a ton. And so obviously when I'm running this splitter, I'm working it from that side. Here's the hydraulic levers, but it's a pretty good setup, because what I've got is get the log on here, get it split pieces are on the tray, and I just take them off the tray and chunk them into the trailer. Now initially I had this vision of being able to push the split pieces of wood straight from the tray here and just keep continuously pushing them into the trailer, which is why I got the little low tailgate here. It took me about 5 minutes to figure out that wasn't going to work. It just didn't work out that way. So I have to kind of grab them and chunk them off in there, but it's still better than having to bend over and pick them up off the ground all the time. So overall, I'm sorry, I'm calling this a win on the splitter design. I'm happy with it. I've split, I've got 3 hours on this thing according to my hour meter. And I did go with the Honda motor on here. It's kind of interesting. On the website, they have that thing spec'd out. Now, that's a 22-ton Ram. And that's the smallest one they make. They make a 22, a 30, and a 37-ton. And so in thinking about it, I'm like, I probably am not exerting 22 tons of force on a splitting maul when I'm hitting stuff with it. So I figured that 22 tons of hydraulic force would get the job done, and so far it has. It even has some real twisted grain oak, and it handled that no problem. It slowed it down, but it busted through it. Now that four-way head, not only does it have the extra resistance of the wings on the side, but the angle here on the front for this head is more obtuse than just the single split on there. So it does, you can tell it makes a difference when you're trying to use that four-way. It works a whole lot better on smaller straight grain stuff, but I pushed some big gnarly rounds through that thing just to see how it would work. And again, I haven't installed this splitter out yet, and I purposely put some gnarly grain stuff on there. So yeah, man, I'm calling 22 tons a win. Yeah, and you know what, if I can't get it done with 22 tons of hydraulic force, I'll get the chainsaw out and I'll noodle the stuff up and get it going and then split that way. So happy about that. Yeah, so I got a Honda engine on this thing. The company specs out 2 other engines as options. One is the brand that they're calling them is Raven, and I think that's a Predator engine repainted and rebranded, Harbor Freight deal. And those are okay engines, but I'm looking at this as a 25 year investment. And so I went ahead and got the Honda engine. It's interesting because on the website, they had this engine package spec'd out with a 13 gallon per minute pump, hydraulic pump. And what it shipped with is a 16 gallon per minute hydraulic pump, which is the same hydraulic pump and spec as the larger Raven engine. So I don't know what that says about Raven engines or Honda engines, but so that's what it came with. So I was happy about that. So yeah, man, this thing is stable. It runs well. It cranks easy. It's got electric start option that I don't have a battery for. It cranks so easy, I'm not sure I will get a battery for it. Keep that 50 bucks in my pocket. But that's the rig, man. So I don't think, short of getting maybe a real tractor or something like that, I don't think it's going to get a whole lot more efficient for me. So kind of the drill now is get out here, cut up as much of this wood as I can until I hit a point where it's just treacherous to walk because there's cut wood everywhere. Put down the saw, get all that, run it through the splitter, get me a wagon load of wood, haul it over to the wood pile, stack it, and come back and do it again. And just lather, rinse, repeat until all this wood is gone. And that's a good bit of wood. Kind of funny, my wood guy, so I'm buying these as poles, right? So these are green cut poles right out of the woods. And the first load is about from here over. I've already cut some off of it. There was some smaller stuff that I've cut. But you can see there's this is oak and hickory, a little bit of ash in there. That's going to be oak down there, and you can, I don't know if the camera's picking up, but that stuff twists. I think that's ash, that big white piece right there. Cut that yesterday. So Anyway, the wood guy was kind of apologizing for these bigger chunks, and I'm like, man, you don't have to apologize, because hey, that's all wood. You know, when it's on the truck, it's all wood. There's no air there. I'm not paying for air on the truck. And so he brought me the first load, and I was going to knock this down some more before I asked for the second, but I saw where he had posted up advertising saying he still had a bunch of oak and hickory. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to grab that oak and hickory while I can. So I told him to go ahead and bring me another load. And he's like, man, I've got one loaded on the truck, good looking load. And sure enough, man, the stuff over there, the stuff he dropped yesterday, that smaller stuff, man, that is some 4-way splitting right there. So I'm going to be able to cut that stuff to length, and you can tell, I don't know if you can tell, I can tell, looking at it, it's all pretty straight, not a ton of knots, and man, that stuff's going to just blow through that splitter. It's going to be great. So I'm pretty excited about that. Looking forward to getting in here and getting to cutting on this. So it's going to be easy to cut, easy to split, good uniform size pieces, and that's going to make some really good firewood. And that is almost all oak. Looking at it, there's some other stuff in there, but it is almost all oak. So yay for that. So like I told him, I got some work ahead of me, and so with that, I probably need to quit my yakking and get the saw out and get busy on this stuff. We'll give you a little taste of that and let you check that out. So stand by. Okay, so quick story time before we get into this. I love being able to purchase these logs out of the woods and then cut them and split them to length myself, partly because I split my wood probably a little bit longer than most people do, and it's probably hard to buy 22-inch split pieces, and I just enjoy the work. Saves me a little bit of money, gets me out of the house as if I need something to do. So yeah, so I enjoy doing this. The one downside I found to buying these logs out of the woods like this is, man, sometimes they come covered in dirt. And so I was working on this first pile the other day, and I'm trying to work around the dirty pieces and save them for last, save my chain. But I don't know, I messed up, and well, two things happened. This is almost like tolerance stacking, if you know what that is. So first, well, I had three things that go on here. I ordered some, I looked up the chain specs for the chain that I'm running on my 500i, and ordered the file that the manufacturer of the chain said to use on this chain. I got 25 of those bad boys. So they were not inexpensive. So I get them, and then I put that new file in a new-ish, to me, jig that's supposed to hold the file at the right angle. I mean, just back and forth on the tooth, and then up and down and depth and all this business. And so I got that thing set up, and there's a huge fiddle factor associated with this particular jig that I'm using. And I sharpen, think I'm doing good. And when I get done, the chain just doesn't look right. The teeth don't look right. I cut with it. Yeah, it's not really cutting that great. So I go back with a smaller file, one of my old files, and that starts to clean it up some. I'm on my, I touched up the chain just a second ago. I think this is my second or third go with my old set of files, and I'm back to using my old little guide that I use on there, and the teeth are now starting to look like they should. And then add to all that, when I was cutting yesterday, so I had a suboptimal chain to start with, and then I hit some dirt or some metal or something in this wood, and it just killed the chain. So I'm back with a freshly filed chain. Again, there's nothing fancy. It's 72 drive links on this thing, 28-inch bar, full comp, round file chain, and I'm hoping it's going to give me some good cutting. Like I say, I was pretty disappointed yesterday, And it's pretty aggravating to put all that time and effort into sharpening up a chain and then have it not cut well. I'm out here by myself. Wife is down the road a little bit. So I'm out here kind of in the middle of the woods, even though I'm at home. But I'm not going to wear my chaps because very straightforward. I'm just cutting these poles. What are the chances that anything could go awry? Almost zero. Nonetheless, I've got my truck keys on me. I've got a trauma kit right over there. I've got a tourniquet in my back pocket, and I got my phone on me. I do have phone service out here, thanks to Elon Musk. One discovery I made running the splitter was I really enjoy running my MP3 player on these earbuds up underneath earmuffs. I know you guys are laughing at me about the MP3 player thing. I'll even show it to you. It's so ghetto. It's this little thing. I asked my family for an MP3 player for Christmas, and I specifically said I wanted two things on this MP3 player. I wanted buttons, not a touch screen, and I needed it big enough to be able to see what I'm doing with the thing. I needed a larger screen. And what did they get me? This thing. Oh my goodness. The brand, I don't know if you can even see this, is iHomey. That's what I call it. iHomey. Straight off the boat from China. But you know what? This thing, I'm a year and something into this, and this thing actually works pretty well. I'm going to get me a bigger, better one for Christmas, I hope, this year. Yep, MP3 player, dude. That's how I roll. We're old school around here. All right, let me get my gear on, get the saw fired up and warmed up, and we'll get to cutting, and then we'll get to splitting. Stand by. All right, good deal. Chain is definitely cutting better than it was on my last couple of goes. Still not quite there, but it is way, way better. Let me turn this iHomie off. You know, I wasn't quite convinced on the utility or the safety aspect of being able to listen to music while I'm running a saw or running a splitter, but I haven't found it that distracting. It's just kind of like background noise. You can't hear anything anyway because the saw's running. But yep, so there you go. As Buster would say, there was scant chance for misadventure just cutting the poles up, so happy about that. I got to get my log turning device out and roll one log and then flip it over and over. Finish cutting it up. Here again, man, trying to always gauge tension and compression on these logs. Every time I cut, I end up being wrong. That last one I was cutting on, I didn't realize it was going to drop like that, and it kind of about pinched me up on the bar. Happens quick too. Did get to avoid a lot of dirt, so there's that. Hopefully the chain's still in good shape. Still seem to be cutting pretty good. I'll tell you what, man, that 500i, I know I keep saying this, but that thing is so smooth. It's just, it's like a race car. And it comes with race car price tag and requirements, but man, when it's running right, yeah, you can't beat it. All right, so enough of that yammering. Let me get and finish this up, and then we'll get on a splitter and get you guys out of here. Okay, so we got the wood bucked up, got it kind of staged over by the splitter. I got to crank this thing and put the last little attachment on the log lift, and we'll get to splitting some wood. So here we go. This is a cold start from this morning. Hadn't been run. Did top it off with gas. I forgot to put the lid back on. Choke. Here we go. red oak right there. All right, so there you have it. That's the deal. That's the process. And you can see at this point, sorry guys, that's what we got. So the wagon fills up quick, which is a good thing. So now all I got to do is lather, rinse, repeat another several more dozen times. And we'll have firewood for next year. We'll be warm, yay. Well, guys, that's it. That's the big happenings up here. Again, going to take advantage of this nice, sunny, warmish day. Try to get as much work as we can done. And try to work myself out of space on the wood pile to where I've got to figure out how I'm going to hold all this wood. I guess it's a good problem to have. Definitely a problem though, so I got to figure that out. Anyway, that's it. Appreciate you joining me. If you hung in this long, don't forget to mash on that like button and consider subscribing. Man, we're about to break 60 subscribers here. Any day we're going to be over 100, and you want to be in the first 100, so get in on it, man. Get in on it. All right, that's all I got for you right now. I will say this, my log lift, I got to switch my hoses on the log lift, because when I pull it to me, the hydraulic lever to me, it drops it down. When I push it away, it brings it up, which is intuitively backwards. I don't know why they had it wired that way on the instructions from the factory. We can talk about the assembly process on this log splitter another time. It was not the best, and it was because of the way they had the instructions set up and lack thereof, and it was an extensive process. It took me a day and a half solid, but that's done. Works good, so I'm happy with that. All right, hope y'all enjoy this, and we'll see you next time.